Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. I hope you had a great weekend. I was just going to tell y'all a little bit of a story. Last week, I went to go talk with an advertiser for our local radio station, and they wanted me to come in, and I had asked about it too, to advertise for the bookstore. So I wasn't sure like what that would look like how many people listen to the radio anymore. I wasn't super excited about like how much money is this going to cost, right? But I stayed open to the conversation, and I remembered what one of the conference speakers, I think it was Heather Koenig, she said, make sure you've got samples in your bag and in your purse. And so I was like, okay, I will grab some of those samples before I head to the radio station. And the guy that I spoke with, I've spoken with him before. I think I've shared Juice Plus with him and his wife, but he teaches like Taekwondo classes, that sort of thing, self-defense. And I've had him come to our mom's group more than one time and do like a very simple self-defense class for us. And I like to do that. Like one year, every meeting, I had a speaker from the community. I pulled in different people from the community, and it was a great way to kind of build some of those relationships, right? So he brings up nutrition. I didn't even bring it up. We were there for the bookstore, discussion, but he was just asking things. I was giving him like little tidbits of wisdom, and he was just like, at one point he's like, Stacey, you need to have a podcast. And I was like, well, I don't know about a podcast. I don't know if I want to commit to that. But he's like, no, there's really good information that is sharing. And so in the end, I had a really good, solid conversation with him about Juice Plus for his family, but also for his studio. And I said, maybe I can come in and speak for your families. We expect a lot out of these young athletes, and we're not giving them the nutritional support that they need. And he was like, yeah, 100%. The kids are all picky eaters and, all the things, right? So I said, yeah, I would love to come. And he said, yeah, that would be great. And that would be a great asset for your business. And I said, or yours. We've just talked about the importance of having second stream of income, and that's one of the reasons why we have this bookstore. But you're the one with the relationship with these families. Maybe this would be a stream of income for you. And he was just like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, why wasn't I even thinking that? So I was able to give him some samples and like bring that story back around. And then he came into the bookstore and took some pictures with his brother, and we had another good conversation. So it's just another example of, if Juice Plus is on your mind, if it is forefront on your mind, and if it's important to you, and if your confidence is there, you're going to find people to talk to about Juice Plus. The conversations are going to happen. I swear sometimes they make you tell about Juice Plus. Like, you can't help but tell them, and you're like, all right, I wasn't here for that, but now I'm here for it. So let's have a Juice Plus conversation or a nutritional conversation. And I find myself, even in the bookstores, people come through, there's little seeds that they tell you, little things that they're giving you, just a little piece of information that you can then expand on and ask them questions. People love to talk about themselves, right? And so if you ask them questions about themselves, and especially if they have any health issues, people love to talk about their health issues, probably even more than their kids. So ask them about that, and just stay curious, keep asking, go deeper. Just keep asking them questions, even if you don't have much to add to the conversation. Then the end question, you can take it back to Juice Plus, is saying, um, that's a lot. I can like empathize with them. And then what are you doing to support yourself nutritionally through this? And then that's where you can share Juice Plus. Like, it works every time in the conversation. There was a guy that came in, and he's carrying around this pump. I thought it was an oxygen, but he didn't have oxygen on his nose. So then I was just interacting with them, and then I said, so what you carrying around there? What you got? And he said, oh, it's a wound vac. So he's probably my age. I'm 47. He's probably close to that, because they have younger kids. So I don't know how old he is, but he has a wound vac because he's diabetic. He got his foot scratched on a thorn bush. It got infected, won't heal. Now it's to the point where this is the last fix, or his foot is amputated. You guys, like, what the heck? And like, yeah, nutrition is hard. Oh yeah, it's so hard. Juice Plus is expensive. Dang it, so expensive. It's hard walking around with a wound vac or having your foot amputated. Like it's just a crazy mindset. But I was like, if they don't know, if I don't tell them, then how do they know? And so I have some of my superfood powder sticks there, and I have them for $3 each. And it really has just been a conversation starter for a couple of people. And so I just asked them, hey, have you guys heard about Juice Plus? And yeah, Lisa says, choose your heart. That's exactly it. And so that leads me into kind of what I wanted to talk with you guys about today. Jarrett sent me this list about mindset, and it was an open mindset or a growth mindset or a closed mindset. And we've heard that before, right? Like, do you have a growth mindset? And as I was reading this list, I would have said, oh, yeah, I've got a growth mindset. Like, I'm all about growth, right? But then as I read it, I kind of had to admit like there's more on the closed side than the open side. And where he got this list from was actually a book that he was reading, and it was a financial book. So this book was started out with this list. So a scarcity mindset to an abundant mindset. And it was one of the first parts of the book, and it said, read this and think through this list. If you're closed-minded to money, then don't read the book. Like there's no point in this. If you like there's no reason to keep going if you have a scarcity mindset about money and your scarcity mindset about life, then this book is not going to do you any good because you're not going to get anything out of it because you're not open. You're not willing to receive the information and change, and you're just going to be arguing with it the whole time. And so I was thinking back to a couple of conversations that I had, even with my mom, and pretty much the whole conversation was an argument of what she was going to do, what she wasn't going to do. I'm not, I won't, I can't, I don't, I won't. Like that was the majority of the words she was saying. She was in this, difficult situation, but I was just like, Mom, that's a lot of don'ts, can'ts, don't, won't, mindset. It's pretty narrow. It's a closed mindset without keeping a bigger picture of options that you may not know about to make a more informed decision. And sadly, that's where a lot of us make decisions. We take action or don't take action. Our mindset is what keeps us in this lane. And if you don't know what's outside of it, how do you know how to proceed? So I'm going to read just down the whole list of the scarcity side, and then I'm going to read the abundance side. And then we're going to talk about how they coincide with our business as a whole. Okay. So he said, stop reading the book right now if you believe that resources are scarce, your future is bleak, and that there's nothing you can do to change that. You envy the success of others, and you often think life is unfair to you. So, thinking even money wise, this could be thinking money, be thinking about business, think about relationships, think about opportunities, whatever that is. Think about all of those different areas when you're reading this. So, if resources are scarce, money is for other people. It's not for me. Other people have it because they have it. I can't have it. Like there's little things that you might not even realize that you do believe about money without actually thinking it through. And money can, change the word for success. Others can be successful at this business, but that's for them. They have life easier than me. Life is unfair to me. All the people I talk to say no, that no one's listening to me. You're comfortable with the status quo and you like things the way they are. So when things change, you don't like it, it feels uncomfortable, but what you feel that what you've learned is satisfactory to survive. I don't really need to know anything else. I already know that. You're skeptical, doubtful, and usually don't trust others. You dig in your heels and feel that people are trying to manipulate you to do what you or what they want. You don't know your own opinions. You're not sure what you stand for. You have a tendency to do what the mainstream does. And I will even cautious us as wives and women how often, and I have done this myself, I will take a passive stance on something and direct the decision to my husband when he's not even the one that's been in on the decision. It's so unfair to him that I let him or defer the answer to him. Um, And that was one of my objections with Juice Plus. And I said, "Oh, my husband says Juice, he doesn't want to take vitamins." It was easier to defer the decision to him versus me gathering the information and making a decision for myself. I don't do that so much anymore, but that was something I did that I felt was like being a submissive wife. But in that moment, that's not what that was. It was a passive decision because I didn't want to take the time. And so I put it off on him, which is actually unfair. That really wasn't fair, right? So I didn't know my own opinions about things. I didn't know what I stood for on this whole nutrition thing. And so I just had a tendency to go with what he did. I wanted him to make the decision so I didn't have to be the bad guy in the conversation to Sharon. So when somebody does that to you, as leaders, we don't hear that. Like we see it for what it is. It's an objection. It's not even a truth, and it doesn't have to be the last final thing. A lot of times it's just a deferred decision. Um, you blame others when things don't go according to plan. You often justify why you can't accomplish things. I'm so busy. I have such a busy life. At conference, I spoke to one of the partners and that I had met in line, and I was asking her like, what she was like. "Oh, I'm just so busy." So I said, "Oh, okay. What are you busy with? What you got going on?" And she starts listing it, and then even as she said it, she was like, "Yeah, I'm not really busy." Like she, it wasn't it like she talked herself out of it because she realized those are all things I'm choosing to do because I want to. And it's not necessarily that my life is overwhelming busy. I'm just choosing to put time to those things. If I chose to put time to somewhere else, I would be busy with those things, right? Um, you feel like you often justify why you can't accomplish things. You feel that nothing ever turns out right for you. You often have too much month at the end of the money. So things have just never worked out for you financially. You stay in the same rut financially. There's always debt to be paid off. There's no cushion. And you just you have more challenges than other people when it comes to finances, and you're usually late. You have a hard time following through. You rarely finish things that you start, and you're quick to judge others. So that's all mindset of, and then it was kind of these categories. It's about um, we, not me, is the abundance mindset. But if you're always thinking me versus we, um, and then we're going to go to the abundant side. Okay. So I'm going to read this list. And this is what we're aiming for, right? Like, obviously, nobody's perfect at this, but we want to be more on the abundant side than we are on the scarcity side. And it's been difficult in our business the last couple of months. And so it's easy to get into that scarcity mindset. Remember, we've talked about things happen for me versus things happen to me. There were a lot of things that felt like it was happening to us. And so now, how do we get out of that mindset? If we stay there, it's not going to be good for us. It's not going to be good for the people around us. If we're resistant to the change that comes from corporate, if we're resistant to the website change or to the back office change, and we're just like, "I'm tired of learning new things. I'm not going to dig into that. I don't care to find out what that is." All the things. We just want to stay on this abundant side. So here's what the abundant list is. You believe your greater future will be achieved by collaborating with a team, and you know that abundance breeds more abundance. So when they succeed, you succeed. And that is so true with our business. We cannot succeed in our business without other people succeeding. So when we care more about their growth and their business is growing, then that reflects us. So I can sit and say, "Oh, my business isn't growing, my paycheck isn't growing, I'm not getting, team, I've lost customers." Or I can say, "Okay, this isn't just about me. My time is limited. So how can I maximize that?" We get to maximize that through team. And there's no other business that I have that pays me that same way. It's all dependent upon the hours that I put in to the bookstore, or how many people come into the bookstore, or how much I charge for each book, right? Like there's still a cap to that. How many hours somebody or days that somebody can stay at the Airbnb a month, there's only 30 days in that month. I can only charge so much before I would charge myself out of the pricing of this area. So I'm capped at all of those things, but not with Juice Plus. We have the ability to clone ourselves like little franchises that are building their own business. And that we mindset is really what builds this paycheck for us and gives it stability. The wider that team is, like the more people direct to you, and then the deeper that team is, how many team members they have and how many customers they all have. All of that is what brings stability. It's not how many customers I can personally get. It's not how many team members that I can just get to me and keep them at Partner Plus. Like we want to help them keep growing and building their businesses, right? You are willing to seek what you don't know. So I've heard saying, "Oh, I know," is one of the most dangerous things to ever say. And it's so true. We don't know. I don't know. When I really look at things like, I don't know that much. I don't know everything about that subject. And if I can keep an open mind to it, that's where I really do start to know. I start to learn something different, because you will understand the process that will come. You yearn to learn new things to constantly improve. So you yearn to learn them, like you desire, you really want to learn new things, new skills, new um, I think skills is probably the biggest one in there. This is all talking mindset, but like new skills, when you have more skills, you just have more to offer people, whether that's being able to speak in public. I was terrible at it at first, girls, like really bad. I had to read books about it, and I watched this was before YouTube videos. So like I gathered information to get better at it, and then I just did it, and I did it bad, and I didn't do it great, and I just kept doing it until I got better and better. And I would evaluate, how did that go? What did that look like? What didn't I like that I said? What could I have said different? And then you just make these micro adjustments, and you slowly get better, and you just keep gathering more information. Making a PowerPoint. They were my first PowerPoints were terrible, but I had to start somewhere, right? I had to learn the software, and then I got better and better. I read books, and I learned about just like advertising and marketing. Like there's skills that if you want this to pay you like a business, you've got to earn or learn business skills, right? It's not quite the same as having a storefront business, but in some ways I think it's harder because I mean, I've heard people say this Juice Plus business is the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's because we're fighting ourselves, right? Like it's just a big mindset shift for a lot of us. And so, do you yearn to learn? Do you desire and want to learn more, new things to constantly improve? Or are you just happy with the information you have? And I have enough information to survive, right? You make the time to learn, and you want to be influenced for a better path to a brighter future. So, influenced by other people that you admire, mentors, people that you want to emulate their business. Talk to somebody that has a business that you admire what they do, and like interview them, ask them. I remember thinking, okay, what do senior sales coordinators do? Okay, I need to do those things. But what did they do? So I started asking people that I knew on other teams that were senior sales coordinators, what did they do to get to that position? What was it that helped them there? What did they learn along the way? And I started to emulate them and start doing some of those things. So you're willing to get out of your comfort zone and to grow more. You think of yourself, and you think for yourself, and you don't follow the crowd. When you learn a true principle, you want to implement it immediately to improve and thrive more. And I would say, and even with that, you want to teach it to other people. So when you're doing something and it works well and you get a response, make a Voxer about it. You know, I think a lot of times, maybe, you think, I don't know, I don't want to bother people with that. But you love it when somebody else makes a Voxer and they share something that worked for them, right? So don't just learn the information, teach it to somebody else, pass it along. And then if it's a great message and helpful, it'll keep getting passed along. If it's not, you just learned a new skill of making a Voxer message, right? So learn something and then teach it to other people. You have the ability to weigh options and feel confident in the decision that you make. You move forward with determination to make your decisions work for the best. You take ownership for the decisions you make and the actions you take. You respond with your ability and you account to others who depend on you. You have a track record of saying and accumulating your of saving and accumulating your financial assets. You recognize new opportunities and you want to keep optimizing your assets. So think about, what you want this income to do for your family. It could be you have some bills to pay off. It could be that you want to pay for your family's Juice Plus, but then think about a little bit further out than that. Once your Juice Plus is paid, once you've got some debt paid off, what does that debt mean? Then being paid off. Then you take that debt that's paid off and what you were paying that payment on, and you start rolling into the next thing that needs paid off or saved for. Think of money as something that works for you. It's to your advantage. And if you're managing it well, if that money just gets blown all the time, then you're not really paying anything off. It's really not that substantial, and your partner's probably not going to take you that serious with it, right? But if you can make good financial decisions with the money that you do make, then that speaks to them too, and they're going to take you more seriously just like you will. Use the money as you build your Juice Plus business. What if you were to take that income and roll that into another business, another opportunity? Something else that's going to bring in a second or a third stream of income for you. Like just thinking outside of the box with that. You are always on time. You do what you say you're going to do. You finish what you start, and you are naturally polite and happy, and you seek to understand others. I think a good rule of thumb on that one is, do people want to be around you? When you look at all of your relationships in your life, are people wanting to stay and talk to you, or are they unsure about the conversation that you're going to have? Just in your relationships in life, are they positive relationships? Are they connective? Do you find that you're able to get into conversations with people easily? Are you happy for most of the time? Are you polite? Like people are attracted just to that simple thing, just to a smile and a question and a conversation starter. But I love where it says you seek to understand others. When we're understanding others, that means we're listening, we're leaning in. And that's one thing I feel that this business has really made an impact on how I interact with people, because it's not just about me, that I really am listening for the need. I'm seeing the need in other people. And it maybe isn't just the nutritional side, but my eyes have been open to that. My ears have been open to that, to where I see in other areas of life. And I understand when I see those other areas and I lean into those and I build into those, they're more receptive to the information that I will eventually share them with nutrition, right? Because they've seen I'm active in their life, like that I care, that I saw them. People just want to be seen. We're busy, we're running, we're going. Most people see themselves, they're talking about themselves. Like just asking questions and standing out in that area can be what sets you apart in conversations and really can move your business forward. So I hope you guys got something out of that scarcity and abundance mindset. I'll put this image in our DMOpro Zoom so you guys have that, and just kind of reflect today and think, where am I at on my, like I said, none of us are going to be perfect, but are we leaning towards the abundance mindset? Or are we leaning towards that scarcity? And then either, even looking at the people that you discuss things with, your business, your life, do they lean to the scarcity side? They may not be the best ones to make good decisions with, right? Like they may not be the one to bounce ideas off of because they're going to give you scarcity answers. But do you have people in your life that are more on the abundance mindset? That's who you go to ask for advice and wisdom. Does that make sense? So be careful who you're chatting with and who you're talking to and seeking your next steps. Because one, do they have all the information that you have? And two, are they more scarcity or are they more abundance? So let's seek to be the abundance mindset person that other people come to look at and want advice from and connection to because they can see a difference in our life. So thank you guys so much for being on, and I'm going to stop the recording.